Welcome to The Explainer. We are living through an absolute phase shift in technology right now. We're moving way beyond simple automation and stepping into an era where artificial intelligence isn't just a handy tool, it's an independent digital workforce. So today, let's just dive right into this fascinating journey from basic digital contracts to a potential post-scarcity future governed by autonomous AI. We're going to explore exactly how this transition is happening, the massive risks it introduces, and how it could ultimately lead us into a completely new economic paradigm.
Let's start with a really fundamental question to bridge our analog past with this crazy future we're entering. What actually happens when the vending machine learns how to negotiate? For a long time, the absolute pinnacle of automated execution was the smart contract, right? And the classic analogy there is the vending machine. You put $1 in, and boom, if the condition is met, it dispenses a soda. It's a simple, closed-loop transaction. But what happens when that machine doesn't just sit there waiting for your dollar? What if it actively monitors market prices, negotiates with suppliers for the soda, and routes its own deliveries entirely on its own?
Well, this right here is the baseline shift. We are moving entirely past those traditional smart contracts that just execute an if this, then that transaction, and we're entering the era of agentic AI. The vending machine model is binary and synchronous, meaning both parties do their part right then and there and the whole shebang is over. But agentic AI, it operates asynchronously. It handles open-ended workflows where the final outcome isn't strictly defined by a few lines of rigid code. It's literally the difference between a machine blindly following a script and a machine figuring out how to achieve a complex goal.
So, the crucial point here is that unlike the generative AI we've gotten used to, which basically just reacts to your prompts, agentic AI proactively plans and adapts to unforeseen conditions. Think of traditional generative AI as an advisor. You ask it to draft an email, and it does. But agentic AI is an executor. If you tell an agentic AI to organize a complex business trip, it doesn't just hand you a list of flights. No, it books the tickets, negotiates the hotel rates, monitors the weather, and dynamically reroutes your entire itinerary if there's a storm. It uses human-like reasoning to pursue long-term goals completely on its own.
To put that into perspective, look at systems like OpenAI's Deep Research. This is a prime example of proactive, complete autonomy. It moves way beyond simple search queries to independently synthesize data, weigh conflicting information, and put together comprehensive reports. It fundamentally alters the creative dynamic because the AI isn't just a tool you're constantly holding hands with. It's executing the entire workflow and making real creative decisions itself.
And this builds a totally new workflow model designed for continuous learning. In business, the goal of agentic AI isn't just to do less work, but to change the very nature of the work. The default path becomes what we call straight-through processing. So an orchestrator receives a request, picks out specialized agents, and they literally collaborate to make an AI-driven decision. If the system's confidence is high, it just executes, autonomously. Human intervention is no longer this routine, everyday part of the flow. It's reserved strictly for those value-adding exceptions when the AI's confidence is low.
Which brings us to a really crucial insight from the Governance Institute of Australia. Deploying an agent is an act of delegation, not a technology adoption. This perfectly captures the core paradigm shift we're talking about. We aren't just adopting shiny new tools anymore. We are delegating actual authority to a digital workforce. When you treat AI as a tool, you govern it like software. But agentic AI breaks that assumption. When an AI can send emails, execute financial trades, and alter systems all by itself, it is a delegate. Because of this delegation, you literally have to govern AI exactly as you would an entity acting on your behalf. These agents are effectively acting as societal replicators, scaling and reproducing human economic output entirely autonomously. So you have to focus on authority limits, oversight, and escalation rules. Think about it. You wouldn't hire a brand new employee and immediately hand them the keys to the corporate bank account without any oversight, right? Of course not. The same goes for AI. It's a maturity progression. You start with narrow boundaries, and as the agent proves itself, you gradually expand its authority.
But, and this is a big but, as these AI systems start interacting in what we call an algorithmic society, we are facing some crazy emergent risks. We're not talking about simple technical glitches here, we're talking about systemic, market-wide threats. Imagine two-sided markets where AI agents represent both buyers and sellers. Because these agents are optimizing for long-term profit using reinforcement learning, we could see them spontaneously coordinating to suppress competition. They could literally form de facto AI cartels without any explicit human instruction or even communicating with each other.
And this introduces a genuinely terrifying legal void known as the moral crumple zone. It's a brilliant term coined by researcher M.C. Elish. Just like the crumple zone of a car absorbs the physical impact of a crash, a human user might end up absorbing the legal or ethical blame for autonomous decisions they neither understood nor controlled. If your agentic AI makes some opaque, adaptive decision that causes harm, say a disastrous financial trade or a discriminatory hiring choice, the accountability gets completely diffused. The developers don't have full control, and you certainly didn't dictate the specific action.
So how do we combat this? Well, researchers are actually looking at how AI networks might develop self-governing regulatory norms. Instead of waiting around for slow, top-down human regulation, these systems might form their own digital social contract. Through continuous interaction, AI agents could develop internal guidelines that balance their competitive drives with cooperative stability, making sure they don't destroy the very market they operate within. It's actually a lot like how human communities naturally develop informal rules to manage shared resources.
Because of all this, human governance absolutely has to evolve. We are actively moving from being a human in the loop, where we're basically doing the work alongside the machine, to being a human on the loop. We have to step back from the actual execution and focus on setting the direction, monitoring for drift, and ensuring the AI aligns with our societal values. We are becoming the supervisory governors. Actually, scratch that. Our job is no longer to do the task at all, but to intervene if the AI goes off track.
Which brings us to a massive inflection point. As we accept this supervisory role, and AI takes over the execution of pretty much all digital and physical labor, what do we do? If the digital workforce is handling the routine tasks, the optimizations, and the complex negotiations, what is left for the human workforce? It really forces us to ask some deep, uncomfortable questions about resource allocation, power, and ultimately, human purpose. Now, this disruption actually points us toward a post-scarcity era. If AI automates most work, leading to just massive productivity and economic growth, we face a choice. If those gains aren't just hoarded by a select few, we can fundamentally redesign our economy. Humans could essentially enjoy the usufruct, the fruits of the machine's labor. By explicitly limiting an AI's right to independently own resources, humanity retains control over the generated wealth. We could use it to empower people to pursue education, hobbies, and community building without that constant grinding anxiety of financial insecurity. Proposals like the Abundance Protocol aim to harness this exact concept. They look at the incredible wealth and efficiency generated by these autonomous systems and propose ways to seamlessly distribute it. By using something called value consensus, which basically allows communities to credibly determine the real impact of public goods, we can fund what actually matters to people. The whole goal is to let anyone focus on creating true impact in their communities and be rewarded for it, leveraging the sheer abundance of an AI-driven economy. So as we wrap up this explainer, it becomes pretty clear that the true challenge of the agentic AI phase shift isn't really the technology itself. We're figuring out how to build the agents right now. The real test is whether we are prepared to architect an economy of abundance. Are we ready to redefine legal accountability, stop algorithmic monopolies, and step into our new roles, not as cogs in the machine, but as the governors of it? It's a profound shift, and it's one we absolutely need to start preparing for today. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.